This is undoubtedly the hardest video I have ever made. Okay, so I want to start straight away with the trigger warning for this video. For anybody that might have a trigger towards eating disorder topics or eating disorder discussions, please do not watch the video. Take care of yourself, respect your boundaries. I also want to do a quick disclaimer and say that I will not be talking about any specific details regarding my eating disorder. I will not be discussing anything regarding weight or calories, nothing surrounding numbers. This is my personal choice for how I want to tell this story. Also, if you leave any topics regarding these topics or any derogatory comments regarding eating disorders or myself, your comment will be removed. This is a highly, highly personal subject for me, and I want to protect myself and others as much as I possibly can. I battled a long time as to whether or not I wanted to tell this story on here or not. However, it is a massive part of how I live my life, or how I have lived my life, and it will be a part of my journey into the future, so I wanted to share it. This will be a two-part series, so this video in particular I will be discussing my eating disorder story up until I started recovery. Okay, being a kid I grew up thinking that there was a perfect way to be, a perfect way to act, and a perfect way to look. This is nobody's fault, nobody intentionally taught me this. This is just what I perceived from the world around me. I grew up being the chubby kid, and for as long as I can remember, I viewed that as a really bad thing. For the most part though, I didn't really start thinking about food until I got to high school. And that's when things kind of shifted, because I was suddenly surrounded with all of these other girls and boys that thought the same way that I did. And I knew I was different to them. I knew deep down that I looked different, I acted different, and I knew in my head that this was a bad thing. The first year of high school was honestly one of the hardest of my life, adjusting to a new school, not having many or any friends at one stage, and just feeling like I didn't belong or fit in anywhere. I took a lot of things from that year, but the main thing I took was that I needed to not be me anymore. I needed to change. And over the break between year 7 and 8, I figured out that the way I could change was to change the way I looked. Something happened to me between that time, and that concluded for me the fact that I was overweight and I needed to change that. I slowly started to change my eating habits, not in a very obvious way, just I became very aware of food and just what I was eating in general. I was either really obsessed with food or I was not interested in food at all. Looking back, I honestly don't think I knew what I was doing. It was more just I thought that that was the thing you were supposed to do. It was normal. Everybody thought about food like that. It was just the normal way to be. And I kept going between thinking that I was being like everyone else and normal, to giving in and then reverting back to how I used to be and feeling really horrible about that because I couldn't keep up this, you know, pretense of being like everybody else. Also, I came to get really possessive of the way I was acting and thinking. It was the thing that I controlled. Nobody else could touch it. Nobody else knew about it. Nobody else had any say. It was mine. I was a pro at hiding this. Seriously, I was like a secret hiding ninja. Even my best friend at the time, who I literally spent almost every single day with, didn't know anything about this. And that was the problem. The secret was the problem. Between the ages of 14 and 18, so pretty much all of high school, my eating habits pretty much stayed the same. They went from completely normal to completely not normal, and nobody really found out or knew because I kept fluctuating, so it never like took hold of me. For the most part, I was completely fine around others. As I said, I was a pro at hiding this. Multiple events, and I mean multiple, I could go into just so many stories here, kept confirming for me that I was just not good enough and I wasn't a good person. And the main thing that kept coming out of that was that I didn't look good. I was overweight, and that was wrong. After I graduated high school, things kind of spiked a bit. I went to university and I started to crave more of the secret. I had this newfound independence and I was spending a lot more time alone and out with friends. I developed social anxiety in a big way, and the only way I felt comfortable around others at this time was to drink. And because I was 18 and that's the legal age to drink here in Australia, I drank a lot, and whenever we went out I would just drink, and that to me was again normal. And it became really the only way I would socialize, or the only way that I would ever truly feel comfortable. Between the ages of 19 and around my mid-20s, again, it just kind of kept fluctuating between being completely okay to completely not okay. I kept trying new diets, I kept trying new exercises, I kept trying new health kicks. I would care a lot about my diet, and then I would care not at all. It would just go from black to white and then back again. My social anxiety was at its peak, and I would have constant panic attacks whenever I had to have any type of social interaction. I was convinced that when I was around other people, nobody liked me. Nobody wanted to talk to me, nobody wanted me there. I was actually convinced that everybody thought I was this horrible human being that was just disgusting and shouldn't exist. Occasionally I would let my guard down, but usually I was a very insecure mess of a person. And my secret was still there. It didn't always come out, but it was still there, and it was slowly killing me from the inside. This was a big part associated with my social anxiety, as I was literally terrified to eat around other people. Particularly people I didn't know very well or that I was going to meet for the first time. I was terrified what they would think of me while I was eating. I was sure that I looked disgusting when I ate, and that people thought awful things about me, about what I chose to eat and how I ate. Pretty much anything involving eating around others was just a disaster in my head. So when I turned 27, a few things had happened within a short space of time. I had started university, which was a good thing, but it was still quite, of a big deal. I lost my dog Roxy, who at that time was my best friend. She, along with Ray, was kind of the only thing that I felt truly myself around, and more so than Ray really, because I hadn't even told him at this time this big secret that I had. I also had a realization of something incredibly personal that had a big impact on my life. I got engaged, which again was a happy thing, but it was that situation where it was just a big life change. And I had my first miscarriage, which I really, really, truly believed at this stage that I was never going to get pregnant, because I had damaged my body way too much. I had treated my body like crap, so it was punishing me by not letting me keep a baby. Being engaged also meant wedding dress shopping, an event that I was highly anxious about. And I remember the moment that I was looking at myself in the mirror trying on my wedding dress that ended up being my wedding dress, and I remember just seeing what I thought everybody else saw. I remember thinking what I thought everybody else thought about me, and I just kind of imploded. I thought of everything that was causing me pain and anguish, and I decided that I wanted to take it out on myself. I was going to make myself be the person that I wanted to be. I was going to be the perfect bride, and I was going to be the perfect wife. I was going to be the perfect person that I imagined I should be. That year, everything spiraled out of control. My secret consumed me. It took over every single aspect of my life. Going out was an absolute nightmare. I was desperate to cling to this secret, to make sure I did it right this time, to make sure that it actually made a difference and I didn't just give up like every other time. I planned everything in advance to make sure that I didn't get caught out. Every single day was a nightmare of just planning. I would wake up every morning with a plan, and I would go to bed every night with a new plan in my head of how I would start the next day. It was killing me to do this. I was so stuck. I was so involved in my own thoughts and in my own process. Luckily, I was in therapy at the time, and I am so grateful that I had a good connection with my therapist, and I had already been seeing her for a little bit, so I felt comfortable with her. Eventually, one day when I was feeling truly defeated, I let slip what I had been doing. I finally decided to share my secret. This is where I'm going to end this part of this story, because my recovery journey is another story altogether. The secret is what fuels this disorder. The secret gives it life, gives it purpose. And I guess another reason why I'm deciding to share this with you all is because I don't want to have this secret anymore. I'm teaching myself to not be ashamed of my past, not to be ashamed of anything that makes me who I am. This is something that still affects my everyday life, and I will talk about that in the next video, but for now, I just wanted to share with you my secret. Thank you all for watching. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.